Hey guys, gonna do so I got some opportunity here while the matriarch is out watering her plants. So if I pause also a little bit, like stop the video and everything, it's because of that. And then, start back over or start over where I left off, it's because of that. But I wanted to come on here because there's been a lot of talk, Salamonster, Salamonster sounds off. Just Alex Hicks, if you will, the Lex man. They've all kind of given, their thoughts on, on evolution and everything, and which is the upcoming all women's pay-per-view or premium live event by WWE this Sunday. And a lot of them have given their thoughts, and basically the overall consensus is that the match card from top to bottom is going to deliver. It's going to deliver and everything. But outside of that, the other thing that that kind of got them talking a little bit is the fact that even though the match card will deliver, it's how it was built and how it went from what it was originally going to be, venue and date wise, to where it is now. And look, could Evolution 2, as it's being called, been done better? Absolutely. It could have been done tremendously better. There's no denying that. It could have been done tremendously better. It could have been booked better, built better. I'm not denying that. Could they have chosen a better date in a different venue and everything? Yeah, they could have done all that. They could have done all of that to ensure that the women had enough time, for them to build up the show, for them to build up the matches they're going to have and give importance and all that. Yeah, they could have done all that. But this is what happens, and this is what people may disagree with me, okay? But this is what happens when you, being the bear, being, the alpha, the omega, if you will, pro wrestling, sports entertainment. This is what happens when the person beneath you, the person that is beneath the alpha and omega, the person that thinks they are better than you, starts poking you. They start poking you and poking you and poking you, and you're the kind of alpha and omega that's just going to bide your time and wait for the opportunity to get back at them. And whether or not some of those opportunities, might be the best of ideas and not so best of ideas, you're gonna bide your time. And that's what Triple H has been doing. Triple H, Nick Khan, they don't forget and they don't forgive, but they're going to teach people a lesson. And that's what they're doing. For better or for worse. They're going to do what they can to teach Tony Khan a lesson. Now, some would say that putting Evolution on the same weekend as All In Texas, is backfiring on WWE. But here's the thing. Here's the one thing some people seem to not be, pointing out. Evolution is the day after. Okay? It is the day after, All In Texas. All In Texas is going up against Great American Bash from NXT, WWE NXT, and then Saturday night's main event. That's what it's going up against. And the other big difference between the two is All In is charging you $50 to watch it on pay-per-view. Well, WWE, all you have to do is watch Great American Bash and Saturday night's main event practically for free, depending on your subscription service, with Peacock. Whether you get Peacock through Xfinity, whether you're paying $15.99 for ads free, or whatever the case may be, you basically are paying less, 90%, if not 100% less, than what, Tony Khan is charging you for All In Texas. And what do you think people are going to choose? Value-wise, financially value-wise. What do you think they're going to choose? They are going to choose, financially value-wise, the show that is free. The show that is less than, less than, basically is essentially $35 less. I'll put it that way. It's essentially $35 less. They are going to choose that show. That's what they're going to do. They are going to choose that show over All In Texas. Yeah, now, will there be people that will, pretty much pay the $50 for All In Texas and watch it? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that'll do it. But financially, if they want to watch wrestling that weekend, they're going to go for the more cheaper option. That's what they're going to do. And Evolution is part of that cheaper option. And again, what people have to understand is Evolution is the day after. So that's not going to interfere with anything AEW does. Yeah, it's going to be counter-programming with a Beyonce concert that's happening that same day. But the Beyonce concert, whether it happens exactly at 7 o'clock Eastern, just like Evolution does, or it happens an hour later, yeah, is it going to interfere? Absolutely. But guess what? It's not going to detract from the audience. And the other thing people have to understand is WWE and TKO know this. They know this. They realize this. That is why when they rented out the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, for the whole weekend, for Saturday and Sunday, they rented it out primarily because of Goldberg's retirement on Saturday night's main event, but also because of the fact, that they wanted to, basically save costs. I mean, that's the one thing TKO is known for doing, saving costs. Like, if we can book the same venue twice in a row, we won't have to spend that extra money like they would have done with the Mohegan Sun Arena on July 5th. So you got to look at it from that perspective as well. The other thing, too, is when they set up these venues and everything for wrestling, most of the time they're set up to sell out the entire venue. But WWE and TKO are smart enough to realize, hey, we're going to be going up against a Beyonce concert, that at at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium across the street. That's going to sell. That's going to probably take some of our audience, maybe. So what do? They reconfigure they reconfigure the seating of 12,000 plus, which they have for Saturday night's main event because of Goldberg's last match. They reconfigure it to half of that because they know, half of that audience may be tuckered out from the night before, or might be all inclined to go see Beyonce, and they don't want to interfere with that. So they still want to have a decent crowd that they can say sold out the current setup of the State Farm Arena, and not the setup that will sell out the night before. And people need to understand that. They need to understand that TKO and WWE know what they're going up against the night before or the night after. It was Evolution too, so that's why they have things set up the way they do. And I'm sure the women understand that as well. Now, people are saying, reports are coming out through Fightful and other places, that some of the women are pissed, that they feel they're being set up to fail. Well, here's the question. How do you know that to be true? What women said that? Is it a Pacific women? Is it a women one of the women on the upper echelon? What is it? What woman or women said it? For all you know, the report was that women are complaining, and that report could have came from like one woman, maybe two, saying they heard it from many. But do we know that to be true? No, we don't. We don't know that to be true. And that's what that to me, ladies and gentlemen, is what we need to take into consideration. We don't know whether or not the women are truly pissed or they're very understanding of the situation. I'm sure they're very understanding of the situation, and they're willing to just take what they can get. Because from a business perspective, they also understand that what's going on is Triple H and Nick Khan are basically doing what they can to teach Tony Khan and AEW a lesson. Some could say that WWE probably, shot themselves in the foot and AEW is going to benefit from this. Maybe so. Maybe All In will benefit and be more successful than all of them combined. But there's an old saying of don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a book by its cover. So I look at it this way. Could their date and venue been different? Yes. Could they have stayed on July 5th with the Mohegan Sun Arena? Yes. But, again, you gotta realize that when you're below the alpha and omega of a certain sport or entertainment genre, and you keep poking and poking and poking, eventually that alpha and omega is going to come back and bite you and teach you a lesson. And that's what's going on here. Whether it's for better or for worse, they're doing what they can to teach Tony Khan and AEW a lesson. But that's just my take on it, guys. Again, don't judge a book by its cover, because Evolution might just be the better wrestling show out of all of them that week, this upcoming weekend. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. Click on the links in the description to help me out, outside of YouTube. Check out the Teespring store as well for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. And until next time, guys, talk to y'all later.